Hello and welcome to today's video. Now there's one thing that I've never actually done on any of my videos, and that's to give the actual story of my XJ40, which is currently here, hibernating for winter, underneath its cover, and undergoing small amounts of work to little bits and pieces that I can repair whilst it's in the garage. Now, I bought the car in February of 2002, and back then it was not in the condition it was in now. So here's a photo of it taken in 2012. I'll come on to why this photo is in a magazine very shortly. So back in 2002, it had a month's MOT left on it. I bought it in February 2002. I was going to run it until March, and it failed its MOT. I'd sent it to the scrapyard. Now, it passed the MOT, needing just a wiper blade and a headlight bulb. So after that point, I started to completely rust-proof the car and overhaul certain items. So for the first time round, I overhauled the front and rear suspension. The front I did myself, albeit not the springs. The rear I had a company called Swallows Jaguar, who are still around today actually, carry out the work on the rear. At the same time, they also replaced the differential, because it was, certainly back then and still now, a known XJ40 weak spot, and it was quite whiny, so to say. Usually output shaft bearings that tend to go on them. So fast forward to 2012, the car had actually been in storage since about 2004, and I lost the storage. So I got in contact with this nice gentleman here, a chap called Danny Hopkins, who is... he certainly was the editor of Practical Classics magazine. I think he's still the editor these days. And I said to Danny, look, I've got this XJ40, I'm losing the storage, you can come and collect it, it's yours free of charge. So I put a new battery onto it, which Danny very kindly paid me for, because he wasn't expecting, to be honest, he wasn't expecting the car to be running. And he was able to drive it onto the back of the transporter, and then he managed to get it home. So it then spent the next 3 years till 2015 with Practical Classics magazine, and during that time it lost the XJR style bottle top wheels, and it regained some 16-inch lattice style wheels that you tended to find on the V12s. And it's also gained a new petrol tank and a number of other little bits and pieces, basically to get it roadworthy again. So quite a lot of work was carried out during the time that it was away from me, mainly repairing items that I had sort of let fall to the wayside because it hadn't been on the road and been stored in a dry garage for so long. 2015 came around, and I'd maintained contact with the magazine during that time, because, I'll be honest, I knew at the time, when I saw it driving away, that I'd made a mistake. And Danny got in contact with me and he said, look, your XJ40 is going to be going up for sale. I'm going to give you first refusal. And I said, without hesitation, yes, I'll have it. So April 2015 came around and I took possession of the car again. So I always like to see it as the car never really left my ownership. Well, it did, because it was, you know, it went off elsewhere, but it's sort of almost like went on a sabbatical. So it had a bit of time to be, you know, magazine published and a little bit famous for a little while. It served... well, in fact, Danny actually put out quite a few miles onto the car, so I think in total there's about sort of 10,000 miles were put onto the car during that 3-year period. So it was used, it was appreciated, and then it came back to me, where it now is, I guess, going through a very slow rolling restoration with little sort of niggly bits being sorted out as and when the time actually comes. So what's going to happen to it in the future? Well, as you can tell by my expression here, it's not going to go anywhere again. I was actually quite upset in that photo, to be perfectly honest with you. Not crying or anything, but you know, I really was, you know, saying goodbye to something that had been part of my life for 10 years at that point. And it's 10 years now since I actually let it go. And about 7 years since I got it back. So it's been with me longer than it's been away. And so what's going to happen to it now is the next question. Well, over the years, since this photo was taken, it has been a path of gradual improvement. So little things like engine sensors have been replaced, which is something I did over the past couple of years. Bulb failure modules are currently being overhauled, which was a very popular XJ40 failure. I've actually got to do replace that side with the one I've overhauled and overhaul the one that's currently plugged into that side. Also need to do the two rear ones as well. The head lining has turned into a massive puffball, so if you open the sunroof you get filled with head lining spores, so that's got to come out and be replaced. The rear wing on this side, I have a replacement rear wing that I want to either get the whole wing put on or have the relevant patches cut out of it and let into the existing metalwork to just solve some localised rust issues. It will obviously continue with periodical rust proofing. Front brakes, I'm going to be replacing the calipers, discs, pads and flexi hoses. The rear brakes, probably do the same with calipers, hoses and pads and discs obviously. The suspension was overhauled back in 2017, along with bushes on the front, which actually transformed, and the rear, actually the A-frame bushes, which has actually transformed the way that the car handles. And just generally, just sort of general tidying up here and there. Doors are currently undergoing replacement of the rubber conduits, which I've successfully done the door on, this side, because it's parked face out, so yes, it would be that side. And yeah, that's really where it is at the moment. So obviously I'm going to continue documenting its progress on my channel, but I thought, because I've never actually really gone into the history of the car, I thought it'd be quite interesting to go into it. It originally came from a pub in Peterborough, and it was, as the guy described, he would have run it into the ground if he'd kept it. So here we are 20 years later with a car that was just going to be run into the ground, still in my possession, still undergoing a sort of fairly active restoration. Oh, bumper rear mounts, that's the other one I'll be doing as well because they've corroded. So there we go, little history of the car that I thought we might find interesting. Incidentally, the magazine Practical Classics, it was the April 2013 edition that the car appeared in. It also appeared in 2015 when it took a trip to Essen in Germany. Quite an interesting road trip actually. If they still have the 2015 copies available as a back issue, I would recommend buying it because it was quite an entertaining read. I was told that the car would quite happily sit on the autobahn at around 110 to 115 miles an hour, which it actually apparently seemed very happy cruising at. I've never actually tried it myself, so I'll have to take Danny's word for it on that one. But there we go. Incidentally, also, to be honest with you, I don't actually read magazines anymore, but if you are in the market for a good classic car magazine, this still seems to cut the mustard from certainly my experience. I do buy it periodically. It is a good one to actually go for, and actually good entertainment. And also Car Mechanics magazine is, I don't know if I've got a copy here anywhere, but Car Mechanics magazine is certainly very interesting if you like working on slightly newer cars as well. Quite a few useful tips in there that I've gathered over the years. Anyway, that's that. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. Take care and see you soon.